So we are, as I said before, delighted for the first time ever for Intelligence Squared US to be partnering with the McCain Institute for International Leadership. We started talking about this months ago. We worked through a lot of topics. We found out, we came to the conclusion that this was the one that was really going to be the one that fit both our sets of values and agendas for the kinds of things that we need to be out there in the public discourse. And for that reason, at this point, I would like to bring to the stage, representing the McCain Institute, Ambassador Kurt Volker. Let's welcome him to the stage.
Thank you very much. As you heard, my name is Kurt Volker. I'm the Executive Director of the McCain Institute. We are part of Arizona State University, and this event is not only on radio, but being live streamed back to Arizona, watched by students there on ASU TV, among other things. One of the missions that the McCain Institute set for itself as we established ourselves over a year ago was to bring back a culture of reasoned, structured debate about the core challenges facing our country. We embarked on a series of debates, one on Syria, should we intervene or not, one on Afghanistan, should we be getting out or not, what do we do about Iran, and this is the first time that we are partnering with Intelligence Squared, and we are delighted to be able to do so. It should be a very lively debate about a critical issue that is again facing our country. What do we do about our defense budget? We'll be doing more of these in the fall as well. Senator McCain wishes that he could be here for this debate at the beginning, but as you may know, they are dealing with immigration issues on Capitol Hill this evening, and so he's over there for that. We do hope that he will be able to join and say a few words by the end. With that, I want to turn it back to our Intelligence Squared organizers, and thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you. And normally what we do in New York at this point is I invite to the stage the person who brought Intelligence Squared US to New York and increasingly to the nation, and he helps frame what's ahead for us in terms of the debate and the timing, why we're going to this topic now. So I would like to welcome to the stage warmly Mr. Robert Rosencrantz. Hi, Bob. So Bob, we've been around the country in the past year. We've been in Chicago, we've been in Aspen, a lot of the time we're in New York City. We're back in Washington for the second time this year, and I just want to very briefly touch on the notion of bringing to this process the kind of very structured debate with rules and rounds and timing and a winner and a loser. What does that bring to the discourse?
Well, I think the point really is that the debaters are forced to listen to the arguments on both sides. They're forced to respond in real time to challenges. They're forced to respond to facts that either support or undercut their positions. And they're trying to persuade an open-minded audience to change their minds. So in many ways, it's reminiscent of the debates on the floors of Congress.
Exactly like the debates on the floors of Congress. So let's talk a little bit about this debate that we're having right now in this era of mandatory cuts coming for the Pentagon budget. The team that's arguing for this motion, and the for side is saying that the cuts really are a threat to national security, or a gift to our enemies, as we're putting it. What do they have going for them in this argument?
Well, I think what they have going for them is the fact that we live in a very dangerous world. We live in a world where we're facing a much more assertive China. We live in a world where radical Islam seems to be in the ascendancy in many countries in the Middle East. We live in a world where a lot of people who really wish us ill are trying to get their hands on nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction. So we're in a very dangerous environment, and we need a very strong defense in order to be secure at home and exercise leadership abroad.
And the team on the other side?
Team on the other side will say, well, even with these cuts, we are spending more than I think the next 13 countries combined on national defense. And that there is a lot of waste and inefficiency in the Defense Department. They're going to point to the fact that civilian employees in a more bureaucratic kind of capacity have grown in numbers far faster than deployable forces. They're going to point to the fact that in a lot of procurement programs, they are really driven by politics and job creation more than by any kind of strategic thought or necessity.
All right, a little bit of a preview, and let's now welcome our debaters to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're about to begin. $6,768. That is the number of warships in the U.S. Navy in the waning days of the Second World War. 288 ships, that is the number of ships in the U.S. Navy in the opening days of 2013. And it's about 25 fewer than the Navy says that it thinks it needs. 215, that is what a Secretary of Defense warns that the Navy will shrink to because of budget cuts from the so-called sequester. And the Navy hasn't had a Navy that small since 1915, when our warships still burned coal to get around. Obviously, times change, military strategies change, budget constraints change. But will more cuts now compromise the common defense? Or might we already have all of the defense we need and not just ships? Well, it sounds like a debate. So let's have it. Yes or no to this statement: cutting the Pentagon's budget is a gift to our enemies. A debate from Intelligence Squared US in partnership with the McCain Institute for International Leadership. I'm John Donvan. We have 4 superbly qualified debaters, 2 against 2. They will argue for and against this motion. Our debate goes, as always, in 3 rounds, and then the audience votes to choose a winner, and only one side wins. Our motion is, cutting the Pentagon's budget is a gift to our enemies. Let's meet the team arguing for the motion. First, ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Donnelly. And Thomas Donnelly, you are co-director of the Marilyn Ware Center for Security Studies at the American Enterprise Institute. You actually took part in an exercise, a kind of game, hosted in fact by your partner at the table there at his think tank, where you were asked to rebalance the Defense Department's portfolio of weapons and capabilities on a reduced budget. And when you began your presentation, you said, "All I can offer you are roads to failure." So does that mean you're just a pessimist, or?
I think that makes me a realist, honestly. We face a pretty bleak road, particularly if we continue to cut as proposed under sequestration and under the law.
All right, and we'll hear that from your argument. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Donnelly. And Thomas, your partner tonight is?
My partner is Andy Krepinevich, probably much to his astonishment, a former teacher of mine, but one of the most astute defense analysts whom I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Krepinevich. Andrew, you are also arguing for the motion, cutting the Pentagon's budget is a gift to our enemies. You are the president for the Center for Strategic and Budgetary Assessments. You spent 21 years in the U.S. Army. And the journalist Tom Ricks once wrote of you, "I will read anything by Andrew Krepinevich, the fine strategic thinker who bears a strong resemblance to Dwight Eisenhower around 1939. Is he talking looks or military mind?
Well, since Eisenhower retired as a 5-star general and I retired as lieutenant colonel, I think he's probably going on looks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Krepinevich. Our motion is, cutting the Pentagon's budget is a gift to our enemies. 2 debaters are arguing against this motion. First, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Benjamin Friedman. Ben, you're a research fellow in defense and homeland security studies at the Cato Institute. You would like us to have a lighter military footprint around the world, and while you don't like the method necessarily, you think sequestration can be a good thing. Does that mean you are the sequester's only friend in this town?
No, I can't really stand up for sequestration lonely as it is, but I think the law is okay, but it's a dumb way to cut defense.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Friedman. And Ben, your partner is?
My partner is Corey Schake, who you can't tell by looking at her, but she's actually older and wiser than I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Corey Schake. Corey, you are also arguing against this motion that cutting the Pentagon's budget is a gift to our enemies. You were Director for Defense Strategy and Requirements on the National Security Council under President Bush. You were also, during the 2008 presidential campaign, a senior policy advisor to Senator McCain. Your sister, Christina, however, is communications director to First Lady Michelle Obama. So, if she were here, I understand she's traveling, but if she were here, would you automatically get her vote, or would you automatically not get her vote?
I'd unquestionably get her vote, even if I had their side of the argument.
Ladies and gentlemen, Corey Schake. So, this is a debate. It's a verbal joust, an intellectual competition in which you, our live audience, listens to the arguments and then picks the winners. And the way we have you do that is by registering your vote before and again after the debate. By the time the debate has ended, you will have voted twice, once before and once after, and the team that has moved the most of you in terms of percentage points will be declared our winner. Let's go on to the preliminary vote now, the first vote. And if you go to the keypads at your seat, the motion is cutting the Pentagon's budget is a gift to our enemies. If you agree with this, push number 1 on your keypad. If you disagree, push number 2. If you're undecided, which is a perfectly reasonable position to hold, push number 3.